Hello students, we are continuing with chapter 4 Animal Kingdom. Today we are moving to module 4 of this chapter, and in this module we shall discuss the characteristics of phylum Annelida and phylum Arthropoda. Let's begin with the characters of phylum Annelida. The term Annelida is derived from a Latin word annulus, which means little ring. Annulus, which means little ring. This phylum is given the name Annelida because all members belonging to this phylum shows a phenomenon called metamorphism. They show a phenomenon called metamorphism or segmentation of the body. Metamorphism is a phenomenon in which body is both externally and internally divided into segments, and each segment is called metamere. Each segment is called a metamere. So, the members belonging to this phylum shows metamorphism or segmentation. Their body surface is distinctly marked out into segments or metameres, and hence this phylum is given the name Annelida. Their body is metamerically segmented. Members of phylum Annelida shows metamorphism, that means their body is both externally and internally divided into segments, and annelids show true metamorphism. Earthworms. In the first picture you can see earthworm. Earthworm belongs to phylum Annelida. And on the body surface you can see ring-like segments. Okay, you can see the segmentation is clearly visible in earthworm. They are terrestrial, freshwater or marine forms. That means they live in terrestrial habitat and also in aquatic habitat. Aquatic habitat involves both freshwater and marine waters. So they may be seen in terrestrial habitat, freshwater or marine habitat. Some are free living while others are parasites. Okay. So they may be either free living or parasite. And they show organ system level of organization. Here organs are associated to form an organ system. So they exhibit organ system level of organization. Then they are bilaterally symmetrical. So as we move to the higher phyla, you can see bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry means body can be divided into identical left and right halves only in one particular plane which passes through the central axis of the body. So members of phylum Annelida are bilaterally symmetrical. They are triploblastic and coelomate animals. Triploblastic means 3 embryonic layers are present. Cells are arranged into 3 embryonic layers, that is outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm and inner endoderm. Then they are coelomate animals. Coelomate animals are animals which possess a true coelom. They have a true body cavity which is lined by mesoderm on either sides. Then their digestive system is complete. Digestive system is complete means it has 2 openings. Their alimentary canal has 2 openings. One opening serves as a mouth. One opening is a mouth and other one is the anus. So here mouth and anus are separate. Then coming to their respiration, they show cutaneous respiration. What is cutaneous respiration? In cutaneous respiration, gas exchange occurs across the skin. Gas exchange occurs across the skin. That is called cutaneous respiration. So annelids show cutaneous respiration and some have branchial respiration. Okay, some respire with the help of gills. Look at this diagram. Here you can see gills. Okay, these are gills. So with the help of gills also they can respire. And in first diagram you can see cutaneous respiration where exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide occurs across the skin in earthworms. Circulatory system is closed. Closed circulatory system means blood is pumped out of the heart and it is carried to different parts of the body through various blood vessels, and these blood vessels and heart will form a closed network. So here you can see heart and various blood vessels, and they form a closed network. So the circulatory system is closed down. Then coming to the nervous system, in this diagram you can see the nervous system of annelids. And nervous system of annelids possesses brain. It possesses brain. This is a brain and nerve cord. Okay, these structures forms the nerve cord. It is double. Okay, it is double. That means two nerve cord is present. Then you can see paired ganglia here. These rounded structures are ganglia. And they occur in pairs. This is one pair, this one is another pair, like that. So we can see paired ganglia in the nervous system. And these paired ganglia or these ganglia are connected to the nerve cord by lateral nerves. Okay, these are lateral nerves. So in between these two ganglia you can see lateral nerves, and they are called lateral nerves. Lateral nerves. So paired ganglia are connected to double ventral nerve cord with the help of lateral nerves. It is the nervous system or their nerve cord is ventral. Ventral side means lower side. Okay, their nervous system is present on the lower side of the body. If this is an annelid, okay, this is an annelid. In the first diagram you can see an annelid and its nervous system. That means the brain and the nerve cord that is located on the ventral side of the body. Ventral side means the lower side of the body. Clear? So they have a double ventral nerve cord. The nerve cord is present on the ventral side of the body. So it is called double ventral nerve cord. Double means it's two in number. So it's double and it is present on the ventral side. Ventral side means lower side of the body. And they also possess a paired ganglia, and these ganglia are connected to nerve cord by lateral nerves. So nervous system of annelids are ventral in position, and it consists of brain and nerve cord, and it is paired ganglia. They also have paired ganglia, and paired ganglia are connected by lateral nerves to this double ventral nerve cord. Then excretion with the help of nephridia. Nephridia are the excretory organs in annelids. Look at this diagram. Here you can see nephridia. These green colored structures are nephridia. Okay. So nephridia are the excretory organ in annelids. Coming to the locomotory organs. In annelids, like earthworm, locomotory organ is setae. Setae is the locomotory organ in earthworm. In this diagram, you can see in this picture, you can see earthworm and setae. Okay, these are small or tiny hair-like structures called setae, which helps in locomotion. Then Nereus. In Nereus is an aquatic form. That is an aquatic annelid. They possess parapodia, which helps in swimming. They are aquatic forms. They live in water. So their locomotory organ is called parapodia, and it helps in swimming. A diagram, you can see parapodia. Okay. They also have CJ. Along with that, they have the specialized structures called parapodia. This parapodia helps in swimming. This is Nereus. This is an earthworm. In earthworm, we can see CJ, which are the locomotory organ. Then in Nereus is an aquatic form, and their locomotory organ is parapodia, and parapodia helps in swimming. Then along with the locomotory organs, they also possess longitudinal and circular muscles which helps in locomotion. So in this diagram you can see earthworm, and in earthworm circular muscles and longitudinal muscles can be seen. So these are longitudinal muscles, and along with longitudinal muscles we can see circular muscles also. So both longitudinal and circular muscles helps in locomotion. Along with the locomotory organ, these muscles also, through their coordinated movement, longitudinal and circular muscles also help in locomotion. The Nereus, it is an aquatic form, it is dioecious. Dioecious means their sexes are separate. Sexes separate. While earthworms and leeches are monoecious. Monoecious means they are hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodites, that means sexes are not separate. So Nereus is an aquatic annelid. It is dioecious, that means their sexes are separate. In earthworms and leeches, sexes are not separate. They are hermaphrodites or monoecious. Monoecious is another term used to represent hermaphrodites. Then their reproduction is sexual. It involves the production of gamete. So their reproduction is sexual. So some annelids are dioecious while others are monoecious. Their reproduction is bisexual means. Then coming to the examples of annelids, earthworm. Earthworm belongs to phylum Annelida. Its genus name is Pheretima. Pheretima is the genus name of earthworm. Then Hirudinaria. Hirudinaria is the genus name of leech. Hirudinaria is commonly called leech. And Nereus. We know that Nereus is an aquatic annelid, and it is commonly called sandworm. Nereus is a genus name, and it is commonly called sandworm. So earthworm, leech and Nereus are examples of phylum Annelida. Moving to the characteristics of phylum Arthropoda. Arthropoda is the largest phylum that includes over 2/3 of all named species. It is the largest phylum of kingdom Animalia. It includes mainly insects, and over 2/3 of all named species on earth belongs to this phylum. Over 2/3 of all named species on earth belongs to phylum Arthropoda. So it is the largest annelid phylum. And the speciality of arthropod is the presence of jointed appendages. Appendages means legs or arms. They have jointed appendages, and the term arthropoda is derived from two Latin words, arthros, which means joint, and poda, which means appendages. The term arthropoda is derived from two Latin words, arthros and poda. Arthros means joint and poda means appendages. They have jointed appendages. So you are familiar with the legs of insects. There you can see jointed appendages like this. You can see the structures like this. Okay. They have jointed appendages. Okay, their legs or their locomotory structures are jointed. So because of the presence of jointed appendages, they are commonly called arthropods. And they exhibit organ system level of organization. Their body shows organ system level of organization in which organs are associated to form organ system. And each organ system performs their specific function through the coordinated activity of several organs. They are bilaterally symmetrical. Bilaterally symmetrical means their body can be divided into identical left and right halves in only one particular plane which passes through the central axis of their body. Then they are triploblastic, that means 3 embryonic layers are present, outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm and inner endoderm. They are segmented, they show segmentation, meaning external segmentation. Then they are coelomate animals having a true body cavity or true coelom lined by mesoderm on its either sides. Then they also possess chitinous exoskeleton. They possess an exoskeleton. Exoskeleton is a skeleton outside the body, and that skeleton is made up of chitin. Okay, it's made up of a substance called chitin. So they have chitinous exoskeleton. Then body is divided into 3 parts: head, thorax and abdomen. Look at this diagram. Here you can see honeybee, and in this picture you can see the head. Okay, this is a head region. Then this part forms the thorax and this forms the abdomen. So their body can be divided into head, thorax and abdomen. It can be divided into 3 regions: head region, thorax region and abdominal region. And here in this picture you can see jointed appendages also. Okay, these are jointed appendages. You can see jointed appendages. Okay, their appendages are jointed. Clear? Then respiratory organs. So the respiratory organs found in arthropods are gills, book lungs and tracheal system. So in some arthropods, gills may be the respiratory organ, while in others, book lungs and tracheal system or trachea serve as the respiratory organs. In this diagram, you can see different respiratory organs. In this diagram, you can see the respiratory organs in different insects. In damselfly, you can see gills. Okay, these structures are gills which helps in respiration. In grasshopper, you can see trachea. In crustaceans, you can see book lungs. Okay, these are book gills, not book lungs, book gills. And in this organism, you can see book lungs. Okay, book lungs. These are book lungs. So various respiratory organs seen in arthropods are gills, then tracheae, book gills and book lungs. They possess open circulatory system. Their circulatory system is of open type. That means there is no closed network of blood vessels. Heart pumps blood into the body cavity and cells and tissues are directly bathed in blood. There is no closed network of blood vessels there. Then digestive system is complete. Digestive system complete means it has 2 separate openings or 2 openings. One opening is the mouth and the other one is the anus. Then they also have various sensory organs like antennae, then compound and simple eyes, and also statocyst. It is also called balancing organ, which helps in maintaining the equilibrium of the body. So the sense organs are antennae, compound and simple eyes, and statocyst. Statocyst is commonly called balancing organ. It helps in maintaining the equilibrium of the body, so it is called balancing organ. These are the sense organs found in arthropods. So look at this diagram. Here you can see antennae. Antennae is a sense organ found in insects or in arthropods. This is antennae. Then in this diagram you can see compound eyes. These are compound eyes and this one is a simple eye. Both simple eye and compound eyes are present. This is a compound eye and this one is the simple eye. Do you know the difference between simple eye and compound eye? Both simple eye and compound eyes are present in arthropods. Simple eye consists of only a single lens. It consists of only single lens which help to focus light onto the retina. The single lens will focus light onto the retina. While compound eye contain thousands of ommatidia. They contain specialized structures called ommatidia. Ommatidia are photoreception units. They are tiny independent photoreception units which are made up of cornea, lens and photoreceptor cells. Photoreception unit consists of cornea, lens and photoreceptor cells. And these photoreception units are called ommatidia. And compound eyes contains several number of ommatidia and it helps to distinguish color and brightness. In simple eye, only single lens is present and it helps to collect and focus light onto the retina. By compound eyes, it consists of thousands of ommatidia which helps in distinguishing the color and brightness. The excretory organ in arthropod is Malpighian tubule. Malpighian tubules are the excretory organs in arthropods. Look at this picture. Here you can see Malpighian tubules. Okay, these are Malpighian tubules. These yellow colored tubule-like structures are Malpighian tubules. They are the excretory organs of arthropods. They are mostly dioecious. Dioecious means their sexes are separate. Male and females are distinct. Then fertilization is usually internal. They show internal fertilization, that is fusion of male and female gamete occurs inside the body of organism. They are mostly oviparous. Animals may be of two types, oviparous and viviparous. Oviparous animals are egg-laying animals. Egg-laying animals are oviparous animals. Another type is viviparous. Viviparous means they give birth to young ones. Give birth to young ones. Viviparous animals give birth to young ones, while oviparous animals are egg-laying animals. So here, arthropods, they are mostly oviparous, egg-laying animals. Their development may be direct or indirect. Sometimes the development involves larval stages. If it involves larval stages, it is called indirect development. If it does not involve any larval stage, it is called direct development. So they are mostly dioecious, their fertilization is internal, mostly oviparous, development may be direct or indirect. So let's discuss some of the examples of arthropods. Spider, scorpion, crab, frog belongs to phylum Arthropoda. Then various insects. Several insects are shown in this picture and these insects, most of the insects belong to phylum Arthropoda. Then let's discuss some economically important insects. Some economically important insects are honeybee, bombyx, then silkworm and latifruit. Then some arthropods are vectors. Examples of vectors are Anopheles, Culex, Aedes aegypti and housefly. Mosquitoes and houseflies are vectors which belongs to phylum Arthropoda. Then some are gregarious pests like Locusta, and some are living fossils. Living fossil like Limulus or king crab. Okay, this is Limulus or king crab. These organisms also belongs to phylum Arthropoda. So let's discuss the economic importance of some insects like honeybee, silkworm and black insect. Apis indica is the scientific name of honeybee. Scientific name of honeybee is Apis indica. And what is the economic importance of this honeybee? It helps in the pollination of food crops. Okay, it acts as a pollinating agent for the food crops. Then it produces honey. Okay, it produces honey, then beeswax, bee resin, and royal jelly. So these are some of the products which we obtain from honeybees. Then Bombyx mori, it's commonly called silkworm, they produce silk. Okay. Bombyx mori is the scientific name of silkworm. They produce silk, and we rely on their silk for textile and clothing industries. Our textile and clothing industries are dependent on the silk produced from silkworm. Then Lactifer lacca is the scientific name of black insect. This black insect produces lac. Okay. It produces lac, which is a resin secretion of insects. It secretes a resin called lac, which is used as a wood finish. It can be used as wood finish, then skin cosmetics, and dye for wool and silk. So these are some of the uses of lac produced by black insect. So honeybee, silkworm, and black insect are economically important or economically beneficial insects. Then gregarious pest. Example of gregarious pest is Locusta. Locusta is commonly called locust. Okay. Locusta migratoria, that's the scientific name of locust. Locusta migratoria, which is commonly called locust. They are called gregarious pests. What are gregarious pests? They are the pests which travel in a group and attack crop collectively and destroy them. Okay, these pests, they travel in groups and they collectively attack the crop plants and destroy them. So they are called gregarious pests. Example is Locusta migratoria. Then we have said that some arthropods are vectors. What are vectors? Vectors are organisms which do not cause any disease. They are not pathogenic, but they can transfer pathogens from one host to another. They can transfer pathogen, that means disease causing organism from one host to another. So vectors does not cause any disease. They are not pathogenic, but they spread infection by transferring pathogens, that means infectious agents, from one host to another. And examples of mosquitoes and houseflies. Most of the mosquitoes and houseflies are vectors. So Anopheles, Culex, Aedes are mosquitoes and housefly. They are also vector which belongs to phylum Arthropoda. Then living fossil. Some arthropods are living fossil. Example is Limulus polyphemus, commonly called king crab. Limulus polyphemus, commonly called king crab, is a living fossil. What are living fossils? Living fossil is an organism that has remained essentially unchanged from earlier geologic times, but their close relatives are usually extinct. So the close relatives of living fossils are usually extinct, but they remain unchanged from earlier geological times. So such organisms are called living fossils. Example is Limulus polyphemus or king crab. Look at this table. Here you can see the characters of phylum Annelida and phylum Arthropoda. Both phylum Annelida and Arthropoda shows or they exhibit organ system level of organization. They are bilaterally symmetrical. They are coelomate animals. Segmentation is present in both Annelida and Arthropoda. Then digestive system is complete in both annelids and arthropods. Then circulatory and respiratory systems are also present in both phylum. Then coming to the distinctive features of phylum Annelida and Arthropoda, annelids shows segmentation or metamorphism. That means their body is both externally and internally divided into ring-like segments. That's the speciality of annelids. And in case of arthropods, the exoskeleton is made up of cuticle. Okay, exoskeleton of cuticle, and they have jointed appendages. The speciality of arthropod is the presence of jointed appendages, and it is the largest phylum of kingdom Annelida. So from this table, you can identify the similarities between annelids and arthropods. So let's discuss some differences between annelids and arthropods. In annelids, body is externally and internally divided into segments. In arthropods, body shows external segmentation. That means body is divided into three regions, that is head, thorax and abdomen. In annelids, locomotion locomotory organs are setae or parapodia. While in arthropods, locomotion is with the help of walking legs or wings. Then annelids possess closed circulatory system, while arthropods have open circulatory system. Some annelids are hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodite means their sexes are not separate. Okay, they are hermaphrodites or monoecious, while arthropods are dioecious. Then the respiration. Respiration in annelids is cutaneous respiration. That means respiration with the help of moist skin. Gas exchange occurs across a moist skin. And the respiration in arthropoda is with the help of trachea, with lungs or gills. The excretory organ in Annelida is nephridia, while excretory organs in arthropods are Malpighian tubules or green glands. These are the major difference between annelids and arthropods. Now, let's discuss some possible questions which might be asked from these two phyla. First one, what are the possible reasons that you can think for the arthropods to constitute the largest group of animal kingdom? Second, mention any four unique features of phylum Annelida. Third question, bring out the difference between annelids and arthropods. We have already discussed the answers of these questions in this module. So, you can easily find out the answers and write them in your notebook. I hope these topics are clear to you. And today we discussed about the characteristics of phylum Annelida and phylum Arthropoda. We also saw the examples of animals which belongs to each of these phyla. And we will discuss the rest of the phyla, the characters of the rest of phyla in the next modules of the chapter. Thank you and have a nice day.